Max Verstappen makes it 9 races, one in a row, and guess what? He's equal Sebastian Vettel, and I think he's going to surpass Sebastian Vettel. I just don't see a world where Max Verstappen does not win the next couple. I'm not suggesting he's going to do 20, but you know what? If there's a guy that's going to win every race remaining this season, it's him. Now, you look at penalties, they could suffer because of engines. Even if he starts 20th, this guy would win. And today, I think we're going to talk about the fact that at the start, I think Red Bull was probably the only team that really nailed the strategy, especially with one of the cars. I mean, I think Guan Yu Zhou and Gasly did as well, but if there was ever going to be a race this season, maybe apart from Monaco, similar conditions, I guess you'd say, mixed, for a team other than Red Bull to win, it was today. But let's go to the start of the Grand Prix. The race, we knew rain was imminent, but we didn't actually think it would fall on lap 1, and fall on lap 1 it did. No one actually stuck it in the wall. Albon dropped a few positions back. Alonso overtook Russell. We then had the first lap. We come round the looping back straight, and guess what? That is when the rain it was already falling through at lap 1, but you could clearly see that there was spray, and once there's spray, you need to pit for intermediates, and lo and behold, not many cars pitted. I believe 6 cars pitted. We had Gasly, Perez, Leclerc, Guan Yu Zhou, and I think one of the Haas's, or maybe both of the Haas's, right? So I couldn't believe that they didn't pit. And I just don't really get every other team's thinking here. Williams, I think for them, they're already in 5th. 5th's like a win to them anyway, so they're not really going to risk pitting here for a set. But then, was it really a risk? You look at the track, it looked like it. I mean, this ain't the game where you can drive about, man, with spray on slick tyres. No. You need to put inters on at this stage. But you look at, like, Aston Martin, who got it so wrong in Monaco. You think maybe they'd get it right. Mercedes, you know, they're gagging for a win. You think they'd get it right. But the call, that the team that actually gets it right are Red Bull. So at this point, the order, because everyone then comes back round, and then you've got the likes of Norris, Hamilton, Russell, Piastri, Albon, just staying out on soft tyres. Now, Albon actually made it work. He actually went with it well. May as well stick with it now. I've already did 7 laps in intermediate conditions, and Albon actually drove a pretty good race in the end. But Max then started overtaking Gasly, Zhou, who was sitting second at one point, Perez, who was leading by about 15 seconds to Verstappen. Just showed you how much of an advantage the intermediate drivers got. Leclerc came in, didn't even have any tyres ready for him. I feel sorry for Leclerc. Ferrari are just a mess. But then we've seen a bit more action throughout. But then the big man, Logan Sargent, who binned it in quali. Great qualifying, up to his crash, and he binned it. Binned it here again. I didn't actually catch the replay, but I'm going to assume he dipped one of his soft tyres onto the curb or the grass and stuck it in the wall. And then we got the safety car, of course. But again, you've got Red Bull with Perez and Verstappen here. They pit Max, put him onto the soft tyres, and do the undercut on Perez. And now, according to Sky F1, Max didn't call for this. It was the team, which just makes it even worse. At least if Max called for it, he wants slicks before Perez, well then you can argue, well, Max read the conditions better than Perez, but the team fucking calling in Max? I can't believe it. I think it could just be as simple as they didn't want Max not to win his home race. And here, I'm not suggesting that if Max isn't let through here on these round of stops that he's going to finish second, because at the end of the day I think he would have been too quick for Perez. I mean, we've seen that throughout the race anyway, but I mean, how much better would it have been an on-track battle for the lead? Because realistically, you look at that Red Bull, not many people, I mean, Alonso tried his hardest after the red flag later on, but you can see, man, he tried for a lap, overheated the tyres and could get nowhere near him. The Red Bull's pretty much untouchable, especially in the hands of Max, but Perez, it is a wee bit dodgy, to say the least. But then, you know, we've got the Mercedes making their way through. Russell puts on the hard tyres at this stage, which I thought was a pretty good strategy from them. But then we keep hearing, there's going to be rain. There's going to be rain. We're looking at the radar and we see a big red blotch on the screen. And we're like, anytime this gets hyped up in F1, it actually never comes. But by God, it did come. And again, Red Bull pretty much nailed this to perfection. Perez was the first to pit, alongside a lot of the back markers. Then everyone else came in the next lap. But Perez's pit stop was 10 seconds slower than normal. It was about 12 seconds. So again, any advantage that he would have got over Max was completely took out the window. But then the rain went from like heavy to completely like monsoon. We saw Perez go off, Alonso overtakes him. We then saw Shinoda go off, Hamilton went off, and then Guan Yu Zhou absolutely sticks it in the wall. And then Red Bull, who have just praised this entire video for good strategy, then decide to pit Perez under like a VSC. But I think it's blatantly obvious they're going to whip it. A red flag or something here, or even with the safety, because it was getting informed by a real safety car. He would have been coming out in about what, 6th, 7th. Even if he's on the full wets, you're in the safety car, and I think if it didn't get red flagged, that race would have ended behind the safety car, because they would just never have restarted it. Even if Guan Yu Zhou wasn't in the wall, I think once that safety car came out with the rain coming down like that, it would never get restarted. But it did get red flagged, and I don't think it was fair for Perez to actually go from 6th back to 3rd. At the end of the day, Red Bull made a mistake by pitting him. Why should other teams suffer because of that? Anyway, it didn't really matter because he sped in the pit lane, and then we get the restart with load of action. Norris and Russell hit each other. Alonso pressurised Max, but you realistically knew not much was going to come of this, to be honest. And Perez couldn't pull the 5-second buffer. You could argue Alonso in the end held him up a wee bit, so he couldn't exactly extend. But Perez didn't really have much pace today, so I'm going to say fair play to Gasly. Brilliant drive. For me, the two drivers today, I think Alonso and Gasly. It wasn't just the fact that they finished second, third. Some of the overtaking was brilliant, especially for Gasly on signs. Alonso at the start, overtaking Norris and co. But the race ended up finishing Verstappen, Alonso, Gasly, Perez, Sainz, Hamilton, Norris, Albon, Oscar, Piastri. I don't know why I said his first name. And then Ocon. But an absolute catastrophe, from a lot of drivers in this race, man. Teams can get it wrong, but I thought McLaren and Mercedes, I have no idea what they were thinking at the start. I get it. Sometimes, when there's a rain shower, it is better to stay out. But how could they not see with the amount of rain that came down that it would take at least 6 or 7 or 8, 10 laps to clear? And that's exactly what it did take. So for me, that didn't make much sense. Other drivers that were absolutely shite today, we've got the likes of Lance Stroll, P11 and his teammates up, taking the fight to Max. And he was battling the likes of Lawson all race, and I thought Lawson actually did a pretty good drive, beat Shinoda, which is more than Nick de Vries could do. But that is it. George Russell ended up, he didn't retire, but he may as well have retired. And I just think, I think it's easily the best race of the season, but I wouldn't say even it was that. It's probably a 6 or probably about a 7. There was a lot of excitement in there, but I think this season's just been starved of any pure quality, and I think when you get a race like this, it just makes you automatically overrate it. But I don't think Red Bull are going to not win a race this season, because the start of that race, in terms of chaotic conditions, you couldn't have actually asked for much more. Red Bull staying out with Max, and the fact that Perez was the guy that nailed the strategy, just doesn't sit right. And then the fact he sped in the pit lane, why couldn't have been Max? But Super Max, as they kept chanting, Sanford, big man. It's good atmosphere, but I think there was almost a screw job in there not to let Max not win, especially with the fact they helped Perez. But anyway, didn't help Perez, sorry. But anyway, till next time, it's Fog Racing signing out. I believe Monza is this week, and Red Bull with the straight line speed they've got, you can't look past them again. But until next time, peace.